Hello, everyone, and welcome to Madison Reed's Hair Color House Party. We are so excited to have you here. We are live from our bathrooms, from our kitchens, from all over the U.S., coming together as a community to color our hair together. My name is Heidi. I am a proud member of the Madison Reed team now for over 3 years, and many of you may be the first time you're coloring your hair at home on your own, and we want to tell you that we're here to help, and you've got this. You can do this. We have a lot of help for you today so that you can get gorgeous salon results from the comfort of your own home. This is a great way for us to help a lot of people in a fun way, and it's not just fun for us. It has purpose and meaning. Today, if for anyone that sends us their after picture, meaning after you've colored your hair, we will be donating $1 to Color for Change, a nonprofit organization that is working for racial justice. Now, since the very beginning, Madison Reed has been about colorists. 60% of our employees are colorists, and they are the backbone, the heart, and the expertise of this company. And I am so thrilled today to let you know that we have 3 of our very best here to help you. And I'd like to introduce them now. First up, we have Krista. Say hi, Krista.
Hi, everybody.
She is the main star of the show today. She has been a licensed hair colorist for 10 years. She is a lead colorist at Madison Reed and works with our product development team. Next up, we have Susan.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome, Susan, with 25 years of hair color experience, and she's not only an expert colorist, she's actually the genius behind our over 55 shades of gorgeous hair color formulations. And finally, we have Siobhan.
Hi, everyone. Happy Saturday.
Siobhan is the trainer of colorists. So she has been leading colorist education at Madison Reed for over 4 years. She has traveled across the country training all of our colorists on how to color women's hair and allow them to get gorgeous salon, gorgeous results at home. That's it for me. I am now going to hand it over to Siobhan.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to see your beautiful faces ready to color your hair. Susan, what do you got for us?
Great. Well, I just want to say welcome to everybody. So we have the star of our show waiting patiently in the wings, and gosh, she's got lots to share with us. Isn't that right, Krista?
That is right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm so excited to walk you through how I do my roots, and hopefully you learn a lot. As you can see, I am a blonde. I typically get highlights. So for me today, I really just want to focus on my gray, and I'll show you that here. Can you see that? And I'll show you a little bit more. So I don't always do the back of my hair, so I probably have a little bit more in the back here.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So that's great, though. Look, I mean, look what Krista's done. She's done just the front. That's a very good tip.
Yeah, so for me, I really just focus usually here. Today, I will be doing everything, so I'll cover the back for you and kind of get everything done. So I'm just kind of all prepped up. I have on my old shirt here that I can easily take off and jump in the shower. And I have my beautiful Madison Reed kit here with everything I need. So directions, of course, my color, my activator, cap, a pair of gloves. Some of you may have 2. We've made some substitutions due to COVID, but don't worry, all the same high quality ingredients that Madison Reed uses. I have my wipe, my barrier cream, and a shampoo and conditioner.
Brilliant, Krista. So before you start, I think we do have a question. Julianne, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and unmute you, and I'm hoping that we can hear you. Can we hear you? Where is she? There she is. There we are. Are you unmuted, Julianne? She's not. Are you there? She's not there. Okay, so let's carry on. Julianne, hang on to that thought, and we will come back to you.
All right, guys, so I'm going to move on. The first thing I like to do is organize my hair. So it's really important to part your hair. Clips are wonderful for that. Any clip will do. And I like to basically section my hair in 4 sections. So I'll go ahead and do that now so you can kind of watch me and do it with me if you're doing your hair today as well. So just down to my ear. Just make a little clip. And then really important is the back. You want to make sure you're organized back there because it's very hard to see when to go to color it. So just right down the back here.
Krista, do you mind if I make a quick note on short hair types?
Sure.
So with Krista, you can see she's got longer than shoulder length. So her hair kind of bundles really nicely into a ponytail or a bun. If you've got a super short layered cut or even a pixie, you might not, your sectioning might not stay still. The hair might just move right back to where you moved it from. So if you've got really short textured hair or a pixie, you wouldn't really need to worry about this as much, but this is helpful if you've got a bob or longer.
Perfect. You're doing an amazing job there, Krista.
Thanks.
Now, I think Julianne may be ready. Are you ready, my dear? Are you ready? Are you there, Julianne? Can we hear you? I think I still can't hear you. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead, Krista.
All right, so I'm gonna move on to my barrier cream. So I'm just gonna put pretty thick layer right along my hairline here, just to protect my skin. I just wanna be mindful not to get too close because you don't wanna get this into your hair because you don't wanna create a barrier for the color. Just for your skin.
So Krista, while you move along with your barrier cream on your ears and neck, let's talk to Jacqueline. I'm going to see if we can unmute Jacqueline.
Hello there. Okay,
Hi.
my question is, I don't have any barrier cream. I didn't get it.
Do you have anything in your kit that looks like Aquaphor?
Oh, yeah, I have that.
Use that. That's exactly, you know, with our big rush on products, some of the items we've run out of inventory, but we replace them with equal items. So same ingredients.
I wasn't sure what it was.
You got it. Yeah.
Okay,
Anybody who sees Aquaphor in their kit, that's your barrier cream.
Because I'm doing this right now.
Perfect.
Great.
I see you. Perfect. You're doing perfectly.
I'm scared. I've
Nope,
gone dark, but I've never gone light.
Don't be scared. We gotcha.
My hairstylist, who I miss terribly, said that Madison Reed was a good product. You may want to hear that.
We do want to hear that.
And so, because I've had it at least a month, and I've been afraid to use it.
You know what? We hear that a lot. People hold on to their kits and wait for these parties. And I can guarantee after you do it this once, you're going to have no anxiety.
Okay,
Okay,
All right,
Krista.
guys. So I'm getting my gloves on. I'm all set to go. And I have already put my color. I'm using Lucia Dark Blonde 8.5 NNA today. So I have it in my activator bottle here. I'm just going to shake it up. So I'm going to be doing a little two different applications today. One, of course, with the applicator bottle that you get in your kit. Some of you might also have a brush and bowl. So either work, both are great. The brush and bowl is not necessary, but a lot of women like to use it. Totally up to you, personal preference.
Great, Krista. And that's brilliant, I think, that you're able to show us both the applicator bottle, which is what most people use, and the bowl and brush. Can I pop in and have another question here from Martha? Great, thank you. Martha, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Lovely, I can hear you. Success.
Yay! Actually, it happens to be a question around the applicator, or not the applicator, but how long does the product stay activated, or how long should you keep the product or discard it once it's been activated?
Okay, so that's a great question because lots of people want to know that. Now, the thing is this, you mix up what you're going to use. After you've used it, you cannot reuse it. So in other words, once it's mixed, the activator will stay active for the amount of time that it needs to go on your hair. You can't keep any unused product, I'm afraid. So what you'll need to do is mix up just what you need and use that. And for
So-
most people, especially now, one bottle of color is average for the amount of growth that you have.
So for somebody who has very short hair like I do, then
Right.
you wouldn't even use a whole bottle.
You may not need to. So if you're not going to use a whole bottle, Martha, then what you would do, and this is a pro tip, you can invert the activator flask so it's upside down, but make sure the seal is on, and then put half of your bottle, and you're going to need a bowl and brush for this. You squidge out half of the tube into a bowl, and then you deposit half of the activator into that bowl and mix those two together. If you have short hair, that's a great way to get around it.
Okay.
Does that
Thank you.
help?
Yes.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, guys, so I'm going to move on here. So I have my color ready, and I'm going to start right in my part line here, as you can see where my lovely gray is. And as I said, I have blonde hair, so I'm going to be really mindful not to get the color through my ends, because I really want to protect them and keep them nice and bright. So this is a darker blonde because I like my roots to be a little deeper. I think it gives me a lot of dimension. So I'm just going to kind of almost do a little zigzag here, right there. And then just use my glove to kind of get it right in there. Nice and thick, almost like a cream cheese, cake frosting. You really want to see the color.
And Krista, will you tilt down just a little bit and get super
Sure.
close to the camera so we can really see how thick that's on? Perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
That's
And if
really
I feel
helpful.
like I need more, I'll go back in and just make sure it's nice and thick.
So, Krista, you've got some gray to cover there, as we know. What's your top tip for making sure that that is covered?
So yeah, that's actually one of my tips, is to really, really, really saturate. You can see, as far as saturation, it's a lot. And I also take pretty kind of smaller sections. So I'm almost, it's like, you can think of your hair almost like a book. So I'm kind of turning the page, and I'm just kind of getting the color right at the spine of the book here. And I'm not getting any color on the actual pages. So that's a good way to think about it when you're just wanting to cover up your gray at your root.
I love that. That's such a good kind of mnemonic device to remember the turning of the pages of the book. And then the other thing sometimes that we'll say too is when you take a section, it should be skinny enough that you could almost read through it. So
Right.
sometimes we make the mistake of taking too chunky of a piece and the color doesn't really get to penetrate to all the hairs. So when you take that page that she's talking about, try to imagine yourself reading through it. There should be a little space there.
Well, that looks
great.
so good, Krista. Do I have time to take another question? Because I know there's lots of questions. Georgina, are you there? Can we hear you? Are you there, Georgina?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, great. So I'm gonna jump ahead a little, but I did my hair 2 days ago because I just couldn't wait. And I followed the video, so I was happy with everything. But my only question is, my grays concentrate here, and now they got covered, but they look more like a blonde, like a reddish highlight. They're not completely the same color. I don't know if I did something wrong.
Okay, so that's
They're
a
like-
wonderful, that's fantastic. Thank you, Georgina, for bringing that up, because oftentimes, especially if you have resistant grey, and in fact, any grey hair that you have, there's kind of a way of going around doing the application that makes sure that you get a lot of colour on there. And oftentimes what we'll tend to recommend is that, and I know that Krista's going to do this because she's an expert at covering grey, what we do is, first of all, go over the hair just exactly as you're seeing her do, putting the colour on quite lightly, and then working it in with the finger. And then when she goes back, what she's going to be doing is putting a lot more colour on. So sometimes when we have grey, we have to work a little bit harder for a couple of different reasons. Sometimes it's because we use face cream and that sometimes gets on the hair. That might make it resistant. Sometimes it's to do with your natural texture. That might make it resistant. So make sure that when you're covering grey, you really work hard with the application. Does that answer your question? Go ahead.
I was just going to mention as well, a lot of people have really resistant gray around, right around the face, like Susan was saying. So mine aren't as bad over here, but definitely I always recommend starting where you see it. So really bringing, one of your first strokes is going to be bringing that color down and really making sure that the color really sits here the longest.
Krista, I have a gray, kind of a gray. What would you say, as we're watching you cover your roots, what do you think your current percentage is, and when did you start going gray?
So I think I'm about 85–90% gray, which just means a lot more salt than pepper. And I really started covering my roots around maybe 28. My dad went he's completely white now, which looks great on him. But yeah, he was gray pretty early, maybe around 30. I remember him being, salt and pepper. So I was ready for this. I knew it was going to happen.
Do you have resistance?
You know what? I do. I like to leave the color on, personally on my roots for at least 45 minutes, just to be sure everything gets covered. But I also have a lot of it. So that's another factor. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Since you're finishing up your kind of first section there, we'll pop into one more question before you head over to your second section, because I think you're going to move us into bowl and brush, which I want everyone to see.
Yes.
Jennifer, I'm going to go ahead and ask to unmute you.
Hi.
Jennifer. Hi.
So my question is around using the product in either my bathroom or an outdoor shower. I have sealed marble as my shower indoors, and my outdoor shower is like one of those little wooden, buildings. Does the product stain those surfaces? And if so, is there anything to get it out, or do you just recommend, going to the garden hose or whatever?
No, so you don't have to wash it out in the garden hose. It doesn't really stain much. When the product's developed, we sort of test it for all of these different kind of use cases. We know women are meant to use this in their home. What I would say is you don't have a lot to worry about in the shampoo out process. It's already diluted with water. You've got shampoo. It's on its way out. What I would say is while you're applying, there's a really great little cleansing wipe that comes in the kit. It's meant for your skin, but it's great on everything. So open that before you even start your process. I like to have it handy before my gloves get goopy. And then if you get a drip on your sink, shower, bathroom, whatever, don't let it sit there the whole time. Try to get it instantly, but when you're shampooing out, you're not going to have a problem.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You got it. My pleasure. Okay, Krista, take us into bowl and brush application here.
Yeah, so I have my bowl and brush here. I have a little bit of color. And keep in mind, if you are mixing it and the brush gets a lot of color on it, you really, really want to wipe it off first. Because if you go in there with all that color, especially me with my highlights, I don't want to get color over them. So I have to be really mindful. So I'm just going to take a little bit of color there, just about that much. And it's a nice, neat little row. And I can come back to my root and just get it tap right in the part. Nice and easy.
I think one of the great things about using a bowl and brush is that you can be precise. Do you have a preference, Krista? Or, what would you say about that?
Yeah, personally, I do like the bowl and brush, just for the reason you said. It's more precise for me, especially while I'm really trying to not get any color on the end. So I can really get really close to my root and know that I can keep the color pretty close to just where I see my gray.
Perfect. And we can actually see really well there what you're doing. Is it a good time for me to take another question here?
Sure.
Anne, I can see you've had your hand up for a while. I'm going to ask to unmute you. Are we there? Are we there with Anne? Anne, can you hear me?
Hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you. All right, great. Thank you. Well, first, I just want to say, while in COVID restriction, I used this for the first time. It was actually the perfect timing to use it. And I want you to know that I'm so happy. The color was exact. It was perfect. And I've done it now twice, and it's very easy. So in case there's anybody out there nervous, I just wanted to add that plug-in for you.
Oh, thank you, Anne.
Oh, you're welcome. And so my question is, and if this isn't a different meeting, I'm happy to join another meeting. My question is, I really want, now that I'm happy and I see the results, I want to try the highlights or lowlights. And I've been looking online, but I just want some advice on that at some point. So if that's joining another meeting, I'm fine with that.
And, you know, Anne, I know that you're not alone. I'm sure there's a ton of people that have those highlighting questions. And here's the deal. It's super easy to do the Madison Reed Lightworks. However, we're not going to get into that now because obviously we've got a ton of questions about people who want to cover their grey. So if you can hang tight with us, we'd love that.
One thing, actually, I would like to announce for those of you that are interested in highlights, on July 25th, we are going to have another house party that will actually be demonstrating, a professional colorist will be demonstrating how to highlight with our balayage highlighting kit. So stay tuned, and you will see an announcement of that on Madison Reed LLB, our social channels. And you are happy to, please feel free to sign up. It's another free session where you can learn how to apply highlights.
Excellent. Thank you, Heidi. And I know there's a ton of interest about that. In fact, we can see, Krista, you've got Lightworks on your hair, haven't you?
I do, yeah. I do a little bit of both. Yeah, I get highlights, and then I also do the Lightworks.
Perfect. Perfect.
So we're heading into territory where I think we probably get the most questions of almost anything when it comes to doing a root application, which is, how do I do the back when I can't see what I'm doing? So, and I see a lot of heads nodding. Yeah. So Krista is going to kind of turn and show us. She's got pretty good sound, so you'll be able to hear her while she's turned away, but she's going to show us exactly how to section off and apply to the back section here.
All right. Can you guys see okay?
Yes, it looks good.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to start here. So basically with this, I'm really just touching. It's more about the sensory of touch. And I can feel basically kind of the coolness of the actual color cream on my skin, on my scalp. So I'm just going to go ahead and take horizontal sections down to my nape.
Krista, can you put your chin up while you're doing that so we can actually see? Oh, yes. A little bit more, darling.
A little more. All right.
Put your hair up. Put your chin up.
Oh, that way.
That's it. Lovely.
So I just kind of taken a big sweeping kind of horizontal motion here.
Now, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, Krista, but what you guys can see here is, even though Krista is a professional colorist, she's not doing an exact application. And here's the deal, you don't have to.
Right.
So you don't think that, although sectioning does obviously really help, because especially when you have a lot of hair like Krista or a lot of grey to cover, we have a lot of people who ask me, oh, you know what, I can't get the exact application, is it going to turn out fine? Yes, the answer is it's going to turn out fine. So please don't worry, just get your stuff out and start getting it on your head. You're doing a fantastic job, Krista.
Yes. And Susan, you can probably see too, my gray in the back is probably longer because, like I mentioned, I don't always do the back. I don't always feel like it's necessary for me.
No, I think we always focus on what we can see, what other people can see, what people see when we jump on a Zoom call for work, right? Like whatever's obvious, we're going to take care of first. That looks great, Krista. Krista, do you mind if we go into another question?
Oh, please do.
Okay. Shelley, I'm going to ask to unmute you now. Hi, Shelley.
Hello. My question is she going to use a gloss on the rest of her hair, or is she just doing the roots today? And if so, how do you use the gloss when you're trying to just cover your roots and then refresh the rest of your color?
Okay, so that's a super good question. So today, Krista's just going to do the roots only, not the gloss. So that's question number one. Today, we're just focusing on roots. But I'll tell you how we get to the gloss is, Shelley, can you see me up above the screen on the top?
Let me see.
So I'll start walking you through verbally, but essentially, Krista's going to apply this color and have the radiant cream color, the permanent color, on her root. So from her scalp down to about an inch or so, or however long her roots are, right? So a little mini line. Now, if she was going to use gloss, and for any of you who have gloss at home, who are thinking about glossing in the future, what you do if you want to do gloss in the same step is you start applying that gloss, which is a gel, just right under where that root is, all the way down, emulsify it in with your fingers, and then you let the whole thing process together. So sometimes what we'll do is we'll say, hey, you're going to have your roots on 45 minutes because you need to cover gray. So put them on, wait 20 minutes, then put your gloss on, because gloss really only needs to be on there 25. Okay. And then if your hair starts to get a little dull or loses its juiciness and its vibrancy between colors, you can just do gloss all over and it'll just bring that vibrancy back to your hair in between root touch-ups.
Okay, thank you.
Super good question. Thank you.
And Siobhan, does it matter if the gloss touches the permanent color? Is that a big no-no, or can people relax about that?
A little of each. So touching is okay, overlapping not so much. So they're meant to work in tandem. If your gloss goes right up to where your color is, no biggie, don't sweat it. But don't put it on right over the color because it'll sort of dilute your color. Good question, Heidi.
Yeah, and that's a great tip. Now I'm going to try and go to Julianne, because I know that, Julianne, that you've switched computers, so we might be able to have your question. Can we?
No.
Oh, it works. Fantastic. So glad you're with us.
Thank you. I actually was here before, and then I got my packet, and this is so helpful, by the way.
Good, I'm so glad.
It didn't work on my hair.
Oh dear. Okay. I'm really happy to hear that.
I have very stubborn hair. So this time I ordered 2 tubes. Should I put in both with the same amount of that other white stuff?
So do you have, what's your hair like? Is it short? Have you got lots of hair?
No, it's short.
Okay.
Well, it's maybe medium.
Okay. And what happened when you said it doesn't work? Is that because it doesn't lighten, or is it because it doesn't cover, or?
Because it was just as gray. I don't have a full head of gray hair.
Right.
But the roots, it looked exactly the same.
Okay. So I'm very sorry that you experienced that, and because that's obviously very disappointing.
Yeah.
There's a couple of reasons why that could happen. And it may be, the first reason is application. So what I would say to you is, if we have the opportunity for you to use the product again, then I would go back in and use much more product. That will often solve the problem. It may be that you need to use a different shade. And sometimes when we go through the color advisor, it can be that, you know, perhaps the questions aren't exactly the right answers or whatever. We try to make it as easy as possible for everyone, but sometimes things do go awry. So what might be an idea is to have a little review of what that shade is. And what we can do is do a consultation with you afterwards, because what I would like to see is obviously for everybody to be absolutely delighted. And I think for you, what we'd like to do is go into it in a little bit more detail, which we obviously don't have the opportunity, unfortunately, to do now. But so is that okay for you, Julianne?
Oh, that would be fine. But do you think, because I got another packet, do you think I should use 2 tubes of the color?
So probably not, because that is probably, unless you've got super thick hair or you're doing something specific like lightening from virgin hair, you probably don't need to have that much color. It sounds like what we need to do is do an independent consultation. And you know what? We've got tons of people who would love to talk to you about that. We're never shy about having a color conversation. So if we can take that offline, I think that's going to be the best thing for you, Julianne. Is that okay? I hope so.
Perfect. Yeah, and we do have her email actually from entering the meeting, so we can do that. That's perfect.
Wonderful.
Krista,
hey guys.
Krista, can you talk to us a little bit about, you're pretty much done with your roots application, and I kind of see you cross-checking a little bit and doubling back. Will you talk to us about that process?
Yeah, so I finished everything. And so what I do now is I really like to go back in and make sure everything is covered. And again, another round around my hairline, my part. And like Siobhan said, you couldn't just go in and maybe go the other way. So I was working this way. So now I'm going to work vertically and just kind of, you know, open up a little bit and see if you happen to miss anything that still looks dry. Just kind of get right back in there. So it's a nice way to make sure that you've not missed anything. So we call this cross-checking.
And this is something that we do on when we apply as professional colorists, this is just part of it. We always go in and do this cross-check. It just helps, no matter how pro you are, how many times you've done this, you know, sometimes you just miss a little spot. So this is great. And it allows you to thicken up that application so you get that kind of icing consistency on there.
And can I just jump in, Krista, and ask you, how much color have you got left? Because you've got quite a lot of hair, haven't you? Have you used up now?
Yeah, I have maybe a quarter, you know, a little bit left of my bottle here.
So I think that that's quite useful to know, isn't it? Because sometimes, especially when you're doing this for the first time, you're kind of like, oh, it seems like a lot. I don't know how much to put on. Or conversely, it can seem like not enough. I have to sort of stretch it out. So I think my advice would be, don't skimp ever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you're using a lot of color, because, and you can probably see, and honestly, you're doing a fantastic job, Krista. Actually, you missed a bit near your ear. Make sure you get that one.
I did.
So you can see how much color Krista is actually using there. There's really a lot. And it is just like she said, it's like icing. When you put icing on a cake, you don't want to see any of the cake. You just want to see the icing. And that's exactly the same way with color application. You want to see the color. You don't want to see your hair.
Mm-hmm.
And that the great way with a bowl and brush, but you don't have to use the bowl and brush, is to be able to do that and be very kind of heavy-handed with it, I think.
And I'd like to piggyback on Susan, what you're just talking about as far as product amount. A common question we get, you know, we get asked this a lot, is you get your kit and you've got this activator and this tube, and it might not look like a lot because the activator isn't filled up to the top of the bottle. It's actually pre-measured, pre-ratioed to be the exact right amount for that color. So if you see it looking a little low in the bottle, that's perfect. When you add that, you know, little over 1.5 ounces of color, it fills up and it gives you a lot of room to shake up the bottle. The color is formulated to have enough product for shoulder length hair of average density to do an all over. So Krista's got a lot of hair, a lot of density. So she's got enough to do super thick application on her roots, plus have some left over in the bottle. So I really want to have, you know, make sure everyone feels there's plenty in there, especially for a root touch up. So really go for it. Really lay it on thick. It's only going to help.
Right. All right, guys, so now I'm taking my wipe here and just, you know, wiping off if it's come too far down on my face, just because I don't really want to have it sit there for the full 45 minutes that I'm processing if I can help it. And sometimes I'll keep this handy, so even after showering, if I see a little bit more, I'll just take my wipe and wipe it again. And now I'm just going to get my cap and start my timer.
Perfect. Have I got time to jump in and ask Joy if she can join us for a question? Joy, are you there?
Hello, I'm there. Can you hear me okay? Hi. So I'm a first timer. I'm expecting my package to arrive today.
Welcome.
Thank you. And my main purpose is to cover these grays. I usually get my hair colored. I have a feeling that the color I did order is a little bit darker than what my color has faded to. So I'm wondering, how far down should I put the dye, and does the gloss carry the rest of the color through? I just don't want to end up with a few different shades of color.
Ooh, great question. So Joy, tell me, have you got gloss and radiant cream coming? You got permanent color and gloss coming?
Whatever the original set is, it's a 2650. So I don't remember.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're going to have a great product there to cover your roots. Normally what happens is that when we do color and we wash our hair, in between the color and having to do it again, the color will fade a little bit. And that's perfectly normal. And sometimes it's actually quite nice to keep some of that. So when you put the color on your roots, which is of course where we need it to cover the gray, what we like to recommend is that you put the color on there and leave it on there for most of the time. So as Krista said, she's actually going to leave it on her roots for 45 minutes. That is the maximum amount of time we usually recommend to cover gray, and it's usually for resistant hair. The minimum processing is 35 minutes. So if you're going to leave it for 35 minutes or 45 if your hair's resistant, what we recommend is just before the end of your processing time, you can use what's left in the bowl or left in the activator to put through the mid-lengths and ends. And then we'd recommend we just leave that for maybe 5 minutes. That's one way. Another way, which means that you leave more of the hair a little bit lighter, is to, at the end of the processing time, you jump in the shower, and then add some water. And as you're adding the water, make sure that you really massage all of that color off. And especially if you're using a darker shade, like a brunette shade, that's a great way to make sure that you don't have the skin stains. And then once it's massaged, leave it on the ends for a few minutes, probably maximum about 5 minutes, and that will be plenty sufficient to tone down that lightened fade. Does that make sense? I think she's gone.
Yeah, she's thumbs up.
So.
Thumbs up, she's got it. Thumbs up and big smile. And Krista, just to confirm, because I think this is another question we get all the time. When do we start the timer?
So I started my timer right when I put my cap on. I started my timer for 45 minutes. So you want to make sure you work through the entire application before you start your timer.
Yeah, so you don't have to feel like you're rushing against the clock. You don't got to start it for 45, get your application, you know. It's
right.
Take your time, it's totally fine, because we know it'll be on there a little bit longer once that timer goes.
And,
okay.
And actually the product is designed that way, so that it gives us plenty of time. And I love this, we've got so many questions. So I've got somebody who's called iPad on here. Can I unmute you, iPad, and see if we can hear you?
Yes, hi.
Lovely.
Can you hear me?
I can, yes, we can all hear you. Karen, nice to meet you.
I don't know why it didn't give you my name, but that's all right. So I've used your product one time, and I actually ordered it, and I ordered it recommended by my professional colorist. So you guys get another, heads up from professional colorist. And then by the time I was ready to use it, she said she could come and do it in my deck. She could actually put it on for me. So she put what I ordered through you on my hair. I have very short hair though. And it didn't cover all the gray on the sides. So I just wonder if one of you could speak to how to do it. Maybe when I do it myself, should I start on the sides rather than at the top, because I have shorter hair on the sides and a little longer on the top? I just need some advice for shorter hair and then the amount of time to leave it on.
Perfect. And oftentimes, and it sounds to me like you're a very professional colorist, because it makes perfect sense that if you have gray hair, then that's going to be the place that you need the color for longest. And always start anybody with the maximum amount of gray that on your head. So if that's here, which most of the time it is around the temple, then you go ahead and start there. And normally what I would say is go through, as Krista did, put the color on, work it in, and then go back again. Because once you've had it on your hair for a little while, it tends to soften on the gray, and it makes the gray a little bit more receptive. So I would go back, and then I would go back again, as you saw Krista do, because as we know, your secret's out, Krista. She has a fair amount of gray. So it's very important that you, first of all, put enough product, but also keep revisiting. A lot of the times when you have gray hair, it tends to absorb more color. And that's why we provide you guys with tons of color. So it makes perfect sense. And I would tend also to leave it on the hair for the maximum amount of time. So once you've finished your application, make that the first part you go to, make that the middle part you go to, make that the last part you go to, and then start your timer for 45 minutes.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Karen, can I ask just a follow-up quick question?
Yes.
Do you remember what shade you used?
I think it was, that's another thing I'm thinking, that it might have been one shade too light.
We may want to do a little email follow-up here once Heidi shares at the very end. In about 10 minutes, we're going to put up sort of the screen that shows where you can follow up with those questions. I would love to keep this conversation going with you offline. I do want to say we do have a specific line of color within our permanent line called the Knockout series for knocking out gray. It's anything that ends in NNN or NNA. What those mean is there's just lots of gray coverage power in those tubes of color. They're specially designed for resistant gray or more than 50% gray. And I'm wondering if we need to recommend something like that. So please email so that I can personally follow up with you.
Yes. Tell me your name again so I get to you.
My name's Siobhan.
Siobhan.
Yep.
Thank you, Siobhan. I will do
My
that.
pleasure. My pleasure. We'll get it right for you. Don't worry.
Thank you. Bye.
And I would say thank you, Karen. And I would say that goes for anybody. We're very happy to talk to you guys offline. If you have those types of questions, we love those conversations. I'm going to go to another question because I think we have time, Siobhan, right? Pamela, I think we can have you. I know that you've had your hand up for a little while. Let's try and ask to unmute you. Okay.
Hello.
Hello, Pamela.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Great to see you. Your hair's gorgeous.
Thank you. That was back in the day. So, yeah, so I've never done it before. I've always gone to a salon, and I tried it the first time. I have long, pretty thick hair.
Mm-hmm.
And the weird thing about my hair is that it is lighter. My roots come in a little darker brown, but I don't color the rest of my hair. I think it just gets lighter with the sun, with flat irons or whatever. And so when I got the first color, what I was worried about is trying to get a color that matches the rest of my hair without bleaching or whatever. So I tried it the first time and it didn't really take it. And I was worried. I only put it on for 35 minutes because it took me like an hour to apply it because I was trying to be very perfect and getting all the back of my hair. And I was worried like, oh, I've just spent like the last 45 minutes just applying it. And if I did an additional 45 minutes, it may be too much. So I did call back to you guys, and someone was really kind enough to send me another kit for free, which I so appreciate because they said you guys really want to make sure that this is a good experience. So, but I've been nervous about trying the second time. So I heard you guys mention that keeping it on longer would probably be the right thing to do.
Yes, absolutely. And that may have happened because it wasn't on for long enough. So I would say a good thing to do, rule of thumb, and goes for everybody. And we get this question a lot about timing. Put it on the bits that show first. And we've said, when we've seen Krista shared her secrets, she does the front bit. So that's what everybody wants to see, right? So start off with the bits that show, start at the front. Usually that's where you've got resistant hair. Go back and revisit that if you do halfway through, and then go to the back. Put as much color on as you can. That's also a good tip. And then make sure that it is on for the maximum amount of time. So if you've had the experience, and I'm sorry that you have, that hasn't worked for you so well the first time, it may well be because of timing. And I would say, you know what, it's not going to harm to leave it on a little bit longer. Color's actually constructed, just so everyone knows, that there is no kind of extension time. It will cut out the processing time after a certain amount of time. So you don't have to worry. It's not like with other types of color. You don't have to worry about it going over. And I would say for you, especially, you're very lucky because your hair highlights itself. Yay. So make sure that you keep it on the root and just do a very quick wash through if you need any type of refreshing through the mid-lengths and ends. And actually we have, which I probably shouldn't say, but I will anyway, there's a product coming that you're gonna So anyway, we'll move on. I hope that helps.
My friend Karen, who is known lovingly as iPad on our Zoom meeting, I do need to double back to you just for a quick second. Karen, I've just been informed we do need your first and last name to follow up via email. So can you tell me that, please?
Yeah, so the last name is Ribner, which is an unusual spelling.
Okay.
R as in Randy, I, 2 I's, B as in boy, N-E-R.
Okay, I wouldn't have gotten that right, so I appreciate you do. And then
And first name is Karen, K-A-R-E-N.
Okay, and do you have the ability when you click on your tile to rename yourself to that in Zoom? Because I think that's, oh, we've got it. Actually, we're good, Karen, we've got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys are.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate the customer service, and I'm sure all of us on this do. It's really terrific, and it speaks a lot for your company.
Oh, I so appreciate it. I feel like that's what we do first, and kind of color is almost second to that. Like
You're gonna
we can get your color right, but we've got to get human connection right even before color. So I appreciate that, Karen. Okay, so Cher has been waiting for a while. Cher, I'm going to ask to unmute you. Cher, S-H-E-R. I hope I'm getting that right. Are you there? Maybe. Okay. We'll try you again. Let's pop down to Jennifer then. Jennifer, I'll ask to unmute you.
At me?
Hi.
Can you hear me? Yeah, hi. Can you hear Cher? This is Jennifer. Oops.
Oh, okay, Jennifer, let's go ahead and hear Jennifer's question, and then we'll come right back to Cher.
Okay, great. Thanks. So I have two questions, and I've always had my hair done colored professionally. I just have patches of gray, and so when I did it the first time, a month and a half ago, I had so much product left. And I was wondering, I usually go to the salon every 4 weeks. And so I'm wondering, in my second package that I just ordered, I got a bowl and a brush. And I'm wondering, is there a proportion that I can mix so that I can save that? I hated to throw away like a whole bottle of product. Is there a proportion I can mix it so that I can, gosh, maybe even use it every 2 weeks? Yeah, that's my first question.
Okay, so short answer is yes, and here's what it is. It's a part color to 1.5 parts developer. Now that's pre-measured for you in the kit, but if you want to do 2 tablespoons of color and then put 3 tablespoons, you can. Or I'll be honest with you, we can kind of eyeball it a little bit. So if you want to put that in your bowl, take your tube, squeeze it down to about where you see the M, that's about halfway, and then put about half of the developer in there, okay? And then that's gonna be a fine proportion. If you're off by a milliliter or 2, it's not gonna be a thing.
Okay, and so it's 1 part color, it's a little bit more developer than color.
A little bit more, you got it.
It's 1.5 times developer to color. So to make that process a little bit easier, Jennifer, what you need to do is invert your activator bottle. So invert the white stuff, and it will go down to the bottom and you'll see a line.
I see.
When you then push it out, it will, and you can even mark it with a Sharpie if you feel that you can kind of eyeball it like that. And that will give you perfect result.
So my second, thank you. So my second question is, I did have an appointment with my professional person just a few days ago, and I still was showing gray because it had been about 4 or 6 weeks since I had colored with your product. And she, of course, knew that I had colored myself because there wasn't 5 inches of gray. And she just kind of went along and she said, oh, it looks a little reddish, that the color I picked was reddish. So the color I had was Positano black, That's the color I used. And then I just quickly went back through the color selector again during this call, and it said Ravenna Brown based on how I answered it. And I'm wondering which one of those is less reddish.
So that's a good question. I would say the Positano probably is. The Ravenna is one of the ones that's made for resistant gray coverage. So if you answered that you've got lots of gray, you probably got that recommendation for that reason. And gray loves a little bit of warmth. Gray covers better when you use a little bit of warmth versus a totally ash tone. It just covers better. It's replacing the gold that's missing. So those are both going to be beautiful shades. Ravenna will have a little bit more warmth.
So the color that I did use has less red in it. And she already thought that that was a little reddish.
So what I think we should do is do this via follow-up email, because I would like to see a still photo of your hair, look at your color history in your account, which I can access, and then I'm going to help you. I'll help you take this all the way through.
Okay, because I already ordered my second package and I have it, and it's the Positano black. And now I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't use it if she thought it was too red. And so, yeah.
Okay. Another thing that I kind of would love to say to the group at large, and if you're a brunette, you've probably dealt with this a lot, is your hair looks perfect when you first do it. And then over time, as the color washes out, you start to get what we call brassiness or redness. That is sort of a natural part of the color leaving the hair. So as it fades out, sometimes what we have left behind is the natural warmth of the hair. And brunettes are always battling this. And what I would wonder is, since you were already back in her chair, you'd probably had a little fade. And what I would recommend is, it might be an overcorrection to switch into a different permanent color. You might be a great candidate for our espresso gloss, which will add smoky tones and not do any damage to your hair, so you don't have to do pull through. But Jennifer, I really would like to follow up with you via email, but I have a hunch that's the right option.
And I would totally second that. Jennifer, we're going to need your last name, darling. So if you could provide us with that, and then we can help you offline. Perfect. So I think Cher, I can see you've been patiently waiting. Let's ask to unmute you. And can we hear you? Cher.
Can you hear me? Can
yes.
you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I've always had my hair professionally colored. Of course, with COVID, I haven't been able to. And my hairdresser always said, be careful of your ends, because I have very fine wispy ends. Is there any product, or can you say, what can I do to protect? I have the little short ends in the front to protect it from getting colored. Is there Aquaphor that I can put on it? That's my concern, because I certainly don't want to frazzle my ends.
Okay, so Cher, you're in the right place. We've got the pro tip for you. So this is what you need to do to make sure that you're completely protecting your hair. And in your case, oftentimes when the hair's fine and colored, it can just absorb color. So to stop that happening, what you need to do is about half an hour before you color your hair, take your conditioner, and at Madison Reed, we provide conditioner in the kit for you. So you absolutely can go ahead and use that. And then on those ends, especially the ones that you think are going to be the issue, to give yourself a complete insurance policy, put a little bit on your hand, and then take your hair and put it through the lengths and especially on the ends of the conditioner. So that will be slightly damp. Don't worry about that. Give it about half an hour. Your ends will dry. So when the hair, it's going to feel a bit funny because it'll have conditioner on it. So when it's dry, then go ahead and do your roots. And what that will mean is if you perhaps get a little bit of color on there by accident, it will actually protect your hair and stop it from absorbing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cher. Thank you. Do we have time to take a next question? Excellent. Annette, I can see that you've had your hand up for a little while. Are you there with us, Annette?
Yes.
Lovely. Hello.
Hi, so I'm a first-time user. My hair I always get it professionally done. My hair was incredibly gray. I'm just 40 and I cannot believe how gray it was. My question is, I took so long putting it on. I wasn't intentionally trying to delay putting it on. I was trying to get it done as fast as I could so my kids would be out of my way.
Yes.
I think I screwed up on the timing. I mean, I loved the color when it came out. I got the San Antonio Brown 6.5 NNA. Been 4.5 weeks now, and the gray is starting to come back, so I'm going to order a new one. But I felt it took me like almost an hour and a half to even get the color on, and then I didn't know how to time it from then. And because I hadn't been colored since February, I did a pull through at the last 5 minutes, but I don't know, did I screw up the color in timing? So I'm sorry to ask a timing question again.
Not at all, not at all. And don't worry, your hair looks amazing. You've got a ton of it.
Back right now.
And, well, you can probably show us. But don't worry about it. So first of all, I would say don't be anxious. Everybody's been there, right? So don't worry about the timing. Just make sure you put plenty on and it's on there for long enough. I'm thrilled that you love the color, and actually that's one of my personal favorites, and it's great for covering gray, which is exactly what you did. And oftentimes the first time, if you leave it a while, it can be a bit more difficult because you're kind of, you know, oh gosh, I've got so much gray, I've got so much gray. This time will be way easier and you'll be able to fly through it soon like a pro. So a lot of it is about practice, and that's why I like to say take the anxiety out. There isn't really a mistake you can make. We've absolutely built it in to be foolproof for you. The main rule is put enough on and leave it on for long enough. So 45 minutes would be the best for you. You've probably got resistant gray. You need to put plenty of color on the hair. Make sure if you've got resistant gray, it's on there for longest. So start with that, go back halfway through, finish with that, put your time on 45 minutes, and then you should be good to go.
Okay, thank you. And I love it. First time user, I mean, if it came out bad, I was like, well, I'm not going in it for 3 to 4 more months. Make a garage.
So happy. Thank you. Do we have time for one more?
I think we can probably squeeze one more single question in. Does anyone have a good single question? Who do we have?
We have Dee Dee who's up
okay,
next.
Dee Dee.
Hello there. Hi.
Hi, Dee Dee. Thanks for being patient.
That's fine. I will say I've used your product twice so far, and I've already ordered a third. I'm sure my hairstylist is ready to kill me. But I will say that people haven't commented on this one thing. My hair felt so silky, so healthy, so wonderful. I don't know whether it was because one time I used the gloss, one time I didn't, and it still felt magnificent. So I will let you know that. That's one thing. The only question that I have is I do have short hair, and I was watching Krista do her hair being long. By the time I was done, and it only took me about 30 minutes to get my hair totally covered and everything. By the time I got done, the whole entire hair from root to the ends, which are only around 3 inches or 4 inches, were so it technically colored my whole hair, which was perfectly fine with me. I could care less. I did call up the second time I ordered, and I said, what if I go one shade lighter? And they guided me through that, and I was happy with that too. So I'm simply happy with your product. I want you to know. But is it horrible that basically my whole head was covered with your product?
Absolutely not, Dee Dee. It's really difficult to not get the color on your ends. If you're worried about then using the conditioner tip that we talked about with Cher. So put the conditioner on about half an hour before you start, give it time to dry, and then go ahead and put the color on your roots, then that will help to protect it. But most of the time you'll find that unless your hair is super, super porous, so very absorbent, you're absolutely fine to do the whole thing. And we give you enough color to do that. So sometimes that's what you need to do. I'm so happy the condition's great. We work so hard at that. So thank you very much for your feedback.
Well, I am so sorry to announce that our hour has elapsed. I have to tell you all that we look forward to this all week. Hanging out with you and talking color is what we look forward to the most. This is the highlight of our week. So thank you so much, so much for joining us. I'm going to hand our hair color house party over to Heidi to sort of give us a little wrapping up message. And I hope to see you all soon, and happy coloring.
Great. And I have a bit of a surprise. When Krista started this session, she talked about her father. Her father went gray at age 30. And guess what? Men turn gray as well. And I wanted to give you guys all a sneak peek that we are launching a new line called Madison Reed Mr. Hair Color for Men. This is our product that we have worked on for about, I want to say, 4 years. It is natural gray blending. What does that mean? It means it doesn't completely cover the gray. It gives men this salt pepper look, which is more natural, which is what they're looking for. And it has all of the great ingredient profiles that you would expect from Madison Reed. And it takes 10 minutes. So it's super, super easy to apply. So we wanted to let you guys know about that. This is launching on Tuesday. You guys are getting a sneak peek. And also look out in your email. We will be sending you a 15% off opportunity to buy this product at 15% off for the men in your life. I am now going to transition to, remember I said that if you submit an after picture, we would be donating $1 for Color for Change, Color of Change, an organization that is helping us with racial justice in the United States of America. And up on the screen, you should be seeing the information for how to do that. Also is this very important email, colorcrew@madisonreed.com. That is for all follow-up questions. So if you did not get your question answered here, we will be answering your question if you send it to that email. That is what we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. There will be other hair color house parties coming. Please check our social channels. We will be doing this next on July 11th. Please invite your friends, come back again. There's more to learn. We want you to have gorgeous hair from the comfort of your home, and we're here to help. Thank you very much, everyone, and happy coloring. Goodbye.